Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. Today I'm doing a spoiler review of Book 7 of the Realm of the Elderlings, or Book 1 of the Tawny trilogy by Robin Hobb, called Fool's Errand. This is, as I said, Book 1 of the trilogy called Tawny, which is set about 15 years after the original series, Farseer Trilogy, and it takes place not too long actually after the live ship traders. I don't know if I ever figured out what exactly the timeline was between Farseer and live ship, but this book is pretty upfront that it's 15 years after Farseer trilogy. So initial reactions about this book is that I loved it. It was definitely my favorite book up until the ending, which I will talk about more in depth later, because I want to kind of get my non-spoiler thoughts out now, so anyone who hasn't read it can at least watch some of this, but I will go into spoilers later. But I really enjoyed the writing of this book, the prose, because it was the easiest book, in my opinion, to read in the series, and it was just incredible to me because with the previous series, especially with Farseer Trilogy, every time I finished a chapter, I did not want to continue because it was such a heavy read for me, emotionally, in terms of the prose. It was very difficult to read. It required a lot of focus for me to continue on. It took me over a year or two, I think, to finish Farseer Trilogy when I read it back in 2020, 2021. And this book was just way easier to read. I really, really enjoyed it. I loved watching Fitz, now in his 30s, about, maybe in his mid 30s, I think. But he is now just on his own, out in the wilderness, basically. Living with Night Eyes, who is amazing. I love him a lot. I'm happy that he didn't die off screen, like in between Farseer and Tawny. I'm really happy that did not happen. He was a major focus of this book, and I really enjoyed kind of the conversations that we had between him and Fitz, especially early on in the book, where we're kind of catching back up with Fitz and what he's been up to this entire time. And he's now been kind of disguising himself as Tom Badgerlock because he has a white strand in his hair, and everyone's like, oh, it's like a badger, you know? So that he kind of has taken on this like alter ego in order to survive in case anybody happens to come by. But we find out that only Starling and the Fool, no, not even the Fool, Shade, I guess, or maybe it was the Fool, yeah. The Fool and the minstrel Starling, the singer, they are the only ones who have come by. We have learned that Fitz has taken on a pretty young boy. His name is Hap, and he was dropped off by Starling around the age of 7 or 8 or so. And Fitz is kind of like, yeah, I'll take care of him. You know, I need someone to help around, you know, my garden and my land and all that. And he has no idea who Fitz is. Hap does. And I really enjoyed what little we got of Hap in this book. I really hope book 2 we get a lot more of him. One thing I really wish we got more of in this book was more POVs. This is kind of the disadvantage to me because of these books, because one of my main issues about this book is I feel like we spend so much time with Fitz, but we don't really spend any other time with anybody else, unless he's talking to them and they're telling us, you know, the views and all that. Starling, Shade, the Fool, Hap, everyone else. But once we leave Fitz's original, like, residence location, wherever he's at, once he leaves there, it starts to go down for me a bit because we're spending so much time with Fitz. And some chapters I just did not feel any feeling towards, and I just did not really care about some of the events going on in this book. And I think this is now the time that I'll go into spoilers. I don't know what else to talk about non-spoiler, but be warned, I will be talking about spoilers and deaths and stuff of characters here in a second. So this is your last chance. Okay, so the issue that I have with this book is the fact that I did not care at all about the Piebalds and anything with that story about the group that has been kind of luring Prince Dutiful, who is this character that we learn about throughout this book, who is the indirect son of Fitz. He is, by blood, his son, but it was kind of agreed upon that it was Verity's and Ketrican's child. I think Ketrican. I think her. But that was the event back in the Farseer trilogy where Verity took over Fitz's body and spent the entire night with Ketrican. I think that's how you say her name. But he spent the entire night, with her. They had sex. And purpose of having a child to carry on the Farseer line. Because Fitz is a bastard. So they needed some way to kind of continue the line. So that was kind of what they done. So, but we finally get to learn about this kid, Dutiful. And I just did not care really at all about everything surrounding Dutiful. But I thought Dutiful himself was really interesting once we get to the end and we are hanging out with him, with Fitz and Dutiful. Especially after the exchange is going down between the Fool, Night Eyes, Fitz, and he's taken Dutiful hostage. And all this stuff as I'm talking about, it's like, I don't really care at all about any of these events. I really enjoyed kind of the hostage kind of ransoming thing going on. But I really do not care about any of the antagonists in this book. There's a cat that's been ridded by a woman who was killed or died, and she thrust all of her consciousness into this cat, and has taken over the cat. And the cat is not happy. She's not maintaining this cat well at all. Its fur's getting matted. It's not able to just be a cat. She's basically just putting on this cat skin and pretending, to be a cat, but not really doing anything cat-like. And just everything with that character I did not like. We get some scenes towards the end where she is, explaining herself. And I just did not care. I don't know. I really tried. Aside from Fitz and Night Eyes and the Fool, that's where most of my investment is in those three characters. And I don't know, I wanted more. I wanted more out of the storyline with that, but it's like immediately after the hostage situation is figured out and we start, heading back to Buckkeep, the storyline just gets way better. I don't know why. I just did not care about that faction whatsoever. But another thing I did not like is the death of Night Eyes. I was very disappointed at that scene. I was really hoping for more of a theatrical death. I don't know. I was really hoping for more. Night Eyes and Fitz are having a great conversation, having a dream about hunting, and he's like, oh, go on with, I'll, keep going, you've always been too slow for me. And Fitz is like, no, wait. And then Fitz wakes up and finds out that, Night Eyes has died. And I was really wanting more. I don't know, as I'm talking about it now, I'm, getting emotional, but I'm trying not to. But, I was really wanting more out of that scene. I don't know, this book just really felt like I don't want to say a flat line when it comes to my emotions, but there's a scene early in this book where we get Night Eyes choking on a fish. And we are in Fitz's mind, of course, because the entire book is from his POV, but we get these really great flashes of Night Eye's POV. And that was probably the most gut-wrenching scene for me in the book. Everything else just did not go anywhere close to that level for me. And I don't know, I wanted more out of the death of Night Eyes. I really wanted him to have a more heroic kind of ending. I mean, he just, I don't know, I wanted more. He just got killed, and then we moved on, and Fitz is, battling really hard, against it. But we don't really, I don't know, that's it for his buddy. And so I don't know. I'm hoping he bonds another animal soon, because that's my favorite part of Fitz's character, is him conversing back and forth with Night Eyes and figuring out what to do. And it was just, I don't know, in book 1, especially, I had a feeling he would die this trilogy. I'm not upset that he died. I mean, I'm upset that he died, of course, but I understand that, he was going to die. So I'm not, pissed off at Robin Hobb that, she killed my favorite character. But it's more just that I was just really disappointed by it. So I don't want to talk about it too much more. I'll start crying. But, yeah, I really wanted more out of Night Eyes. So I don't really have any idea where we're going in, the whole trilogy, which is what I try to kind of predict as I go through these books, but I was just really the only thing I'm hoping for is that we get a lot more with Hap, and also get a lot of great kind of magic training scenes between Fitz and Dutiful, because I think that would be really fun, because we didn't really get any of that in Live Ship Traders, of course, because we don't have any characters who do what Fitz does, but yeah, I'm excited. I hope we kind of have a much better book 2, because although this is one of my more favorite ones, I think because of the ending, I think it dropped quite a bit for me, and it's not the fault of the author. I thought, everything about the book was great, but just the choices made about the ending I did not care for. So when I see her, I guess this December at Dragonsteel, I'll talk to her about these books if I get a chance, and see what she says. But yeah, I rated this 4 out of 5, I think. I think on Goodreads I put it as a 5 out of 5, but I think I'm gonna put it down to a 4 out of 5, because for all the reasons I've said. The world building in this book was fantastic, by the way. I know most of these places now really well, so it was fun to kind of further explore these settings, and especially Buck Keep, because it's really grown since Fitz has been there. We get a lot of great scenes of Barrick, who was his kind of original caretaker when he was small. We get scenes with him, which is great, although we don't really talk to him because Fitz is in hiding, of course, but I really loved all those scenes where Fitz is kind of talking about what he's been doing the last 15 years, where he was kind of going all over the world, exploring, and he even went down and met some of the live ships, or the talking ships, and I thought that was great. Some great kind of crossovers with the Live Ship Traders trilogy, although none of the characters were named, but they talk about the dragons quite a few times in the beginning. So that's great. I'm hoping we get more dragons in the next book, and especially book 3. Yeah, I don't really know what else to talk about, but thank you all so much for watching. If you're still here, let me leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the book and what I said about this book, and kind of pick my brain about anything that I did not talk about. But thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great rest of the weekend.